Hey, YouTubers, Tazman here, bringing you another episode of Learn JavaScript with Foundry VTT. And in our last bunch of episodes, we kind of went over, what was it, I guess we could, well, before we talk about that, let's just talk about, you'll notice we're not in version 11 yet. Part of the reason for that is not because I can't do this in version 11, but on this system I actually have also Pathfinder 2, which has not been updated just yet for version 11. So we are still in version 10, build 291, and we're just plugging along. I don't think there's going to be any real big differences as far as being in version 11 versus version 10. Really, there hasn't been much change as far as I know, as far as macros go. So anyway, let's go ahead and jump right in, and today we're going to be talking about optional chaining, which is a very powerful thing. So we need to go into our fundamentals here, and let me pull up my notes real quick. They're probably going to pop up right here too. Sure did. Let's see, where did I put my notes? Right here. Perfect. So let's go ahead and create a new one. I think our last one was 12, so we're going to call this one 13. And then the next one will be 14 because, and the spread operator, rest operator, I don't know. The numbering on this is just all messed up, but that's okay. Let's see. So we've got OPTION, optional CHINING. Okay. So let's jump right in. We'll go grab our template real quick. Control C, close, and Control V. Let's go ahead and make sure we have everything lined up good, so we can just jump right in. This seems a little wide. Maybe we could do it a little better. There we go. Gives a little more typing area. Alright, so let's go ahead and begin with optional chaining. So first I want to do is I'm going to copy our object. Because this is where a lot of it actually is used, as in objects. However, it's not the only place. This looks wrong. There we go. So here's our object of our PC, Zelia Idlewind. She's an ASMR Warlock, level 10. We have, a function in here called getName, which returns basically her information. So if we try and access part of an object that does not exist, we will get back undefined. And that kind of makes sense, right? Because that property of the object is undefined. It hasn't been defined yet. So if we, for example, were to do, let's do console.log, parenthesis, and how do I want to say this? Let's do weapons, for example. She obviously does not have a property for weapons, so let's do WEAPONS, colon space, and then we'll try and access that property, which doesn't exist. So if we do this, do PC.WEAPONS. And if we output this, now you'll see we get weapons as undefined. So even though it doesn't exist, we're not getting a full-fledged error. We're just getting undefined. Now, sometimes that's good because you might not want it to actually error out your script, but also this might not be ideal as to what you actually want. Let's go ahead and add a quick note in here. What should I say? Trying to access a non-existent property will return undefined. UNDEFINED. All right, so it will return undefined. Now, we will get an error, on the other hand, if we try and access a property of a property. So, for example, here we have our con or something like that, and if we were to try and access role and then something inside role, we would definitely get it. If we tried accessing con role, we get undefined. But if we did role, what would it, maybe bonus or something like that, we would get undefined. Let's use our weapon here as our example again, and let's just show you. So we'll say will error out if you try to, I don't want to say this, access a property of a non-existent property, maybe, of a non-existent existent property. I don't know. All right. So, for example, if we were to try and access, let's do weapon again. We're gonna end up commenting this out because it will cause an error every single time. But I'm just doing this so you can actually see what I'm talking about. So we're gonna do the same thing. So we're gonna have our weapon as our label, just so we know where it is. And then let's try and access a left-handed weapon or whatever's in our left hand. So if we do PC dot weapons and then dot left hand, this is actually going to error out, and it kind of makes sense as to why, because this portion right here will report undefined. Undefined doesn't have any properties, so now we're trying to access a property called .left hand or L hand off of weapons, and it doesn't exist. So let's go and run this, and here you can see cannot read properties of undefined. So undefined doesn't have any properties, so it's throwing a hissy at us. So we're gonna go ahead and comment this one out, Control/, because that will error out for the rest of our program, and we don't want that, or our macro. All right, so let's go ahead and look at one way we can protect against something like this. So obviously we could use a conditional statement. We could do, how should I say this? One way to guard, G-U-A, is it G, guard? I think so. A-G-I-N, against the errors is, and what we can do is use a conditional statement. So we could say if, and then we could say PC.wapons. So if it exists, because remember when we were talking about shortcutting and stuff, that undefined, or truthy and falsy, not this. If I go save this real quick, if we go look at truthy and falsy, and we look at what is a falsy, undefined is falsy, null, false, nan, not a number, 0, negative 0, and 0.0, negative 0.0, and any of our empty strings with no value, not even the space. So those are all going to report back as falsies. So what this is going to do is, because it's undefined, will return as a falsy value, which means it will not execute our first line, but it will execute the second line. So what we could do then is we could check for the PC weapon. If it exists, we could do whatever we want. We're just going to console .log, and we're going to output weapon exists, or weapons exist. So this would tell us that yes, that value does exist, else it doesn't exist. So I'm just going to copy this. I keep forgetting to put semicolons. Definitely good practice to remember your semicolons, even though they're not required. Weapons do not exist, something like that. So now, as you're expecting, if we run this, because this returns undefined, which is a falsy, it's not going to do the true, it's going to do the false. And you'll see that, yeah, we do not have any weapons. The weapons property does not exist. Now, we can also use this with our shortcutting that we learned, what was that, a couple episodes ago? I don't remember. It was a long time since I actually recorded my last episode, so like 3 weeks ago, because I uploaded all the ones that the last 3 I just uploaded all the same day and scheduled. So let's also look at how we can do this, which will be a little bit nicer with our shortcutting. So let's go ahead and just copy this and maybe paste it right here. So we can check if weapons exist, and then if weapons exist, we can actually also check if PC weapons left hand exists. And if you remember about shortcutting, if we say PC weapons exists, and we want to verify that the other part of it, the left hand, so PC WAPO weapons dot left hand. So this will actually allow us to do our check here. Of course, that's not going to work like that. So now we can say if this exists, it will return a truthy, and then this one obviously will, or this will return a falsy. No, hold on, I gotta think now for a second. Yes, so this is going to return a falsy. This is going to return a falsy. So ultimately, it's going to return our last falsy, I believe. No, with an and, I can't remember what we taught about. I think with the and, it actually returns the first falsy, because then it doesn't even need to evaluate anything more. However, if we did have weapons, but didn't have left hand, then we get that. So I'm going to change this maybe just so we can differentiate between the others. And L hand exists, weapons, and L hand does not exist. So once again, we can expect to see weapons and left hand does not exist. Yes. So if we execute that, sure enough, we get our weapons and left hand does not exist. So this is quite a bit of code still. And in, I believe it was the 2020 version, or was it 20? ES 20 or something like that. It was a little while ago. Let's just say that. ECMAScript, who makes JavaScript, they released even a newer way that is a little nicer to be able to do the same type of stuff without all the coding. Because let's face it, everyone doesn't like actually writing lots and lots and lots of code. We like to simplify it. So what we can do is we can do what's called optional chaining. And what this will do is it will go down the chain for each thing, and if it doesn't exist, then it will return that value. If it does exist, then it will check the next part of the chain, and so on and so forth. So let's just say to make life easier, much easier even, to make life optional chaining was introduced. Maybe I'll say that. OPTIONA, optional, CHINING, was INTRODUCED. Okay, so for example, as I was saying, let's just do this real quick and say, I'm trying to think of yeah, I'll just do it this way. So for example, with optional chaining, first it's going to check PC weapons, right? And I'll show you the syntax in just a minute. So we want to check if PC weapons exists. PC weapons exists. And if it does, so if PC weapons EXIST exist, it will try and process left hand to see if left hand is there, right? So it will try and, oh, I can't type, PROCESS process L hand. Then as a, I didn't mean to do uppercase on that, left hand. And then if we did the chaining also here, so if we say if pc.wapons.lhand, it will, let's say on our left hand we have a ring. We need to, I just want it one more deep. So if then PC weapons left hand exists, it will try, why did I have and up there too? Try to process PROCE, process ring. Not trying. There we go. All right, so here is our example of doing just that. So we're gonna say console.log, and maybe actually what I should do up here is do question mark period, which is kind of how it's always shown. So let's go ahead and do this. We're gonna do, we know that PC exists, right? So we'll just do that, but we're not sure if weapons exists. So WAPONS, so it would be question mark period, and then after that is left hand, L hand, and other question mark period, and then ring. So this is it. Basically it is going to try, and maybe I should stick a little thing in here so we can see it, and say LHAN, left hand, colon, something like that. So as you can see, what it's going to do is it's going to see if PC weapons exists, right? If that exists, then it will go ahead and try and process left hand. If left hand exists, it will go ahead and try and process ring. So if we go and run this, go and clear that, you'll actually see that left hand comes back undefined because one of these values in here does not exist. However, if we did have weapons and left hand, it would try and process all the way to the ring. Of course, it's still going to return undefined, but this gives us a quick way of kind of performing this exact same thing without having to do if PC weapons and PC weapons left hand and PC weapons ring, left hand dot ring exist, then we go ahead and do it. We're able to do it just simply like this. So that is, in a nutshell, very basics of our optional chaining. And it's actually really handy. We can use it in various other things. For example, we can use it in our methods as well. It is a little stranger looking to do it in like methods and such, but it kind of makes sense and kind of doesn't. So here you can see we have a function called getName, right? So we could say, all right, well, I want to access that function, so I'm going to go ahead and do console.log, and then we had our I think, yeah, I have an output on that. So we'll just do pc.get name and do it like that. So if we run this, really bad at doing that, you'll see that we get Zillia Idlewind, level 10, ASMR Warlock, which is exactly what we're expecting to get. We have our name, level, then the level number, then in parentheses we have race, space, class. I think we went over this already, but this is simply to access the object that is being called. So when we see this, it's inside of our object. It's saying this object's name. So we'll go this object, which is PC, and name. I think we already went over that, but I don't remember for sure. So now let's say we weren't sure if maybe a drink potion drink potion function was actually in our thing. We can use our optional chaining to keep it from airing out. And then if we bundle that with our short circuiting, we can actually, give a kind of message or something like that. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to copy because we're already almost out of time, and that's a lot of typing. So here you can see I said using optional chaining with object functions and shortcutting. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to do cons console.log again, and let's say we want to access pc.drinkpotion. And that is how we would do it, but however, this would give us an error, right? We get this big error saying, hey, that is not a function. So how do we protect against that? So your initial, and mine too, was maybe I would do the question mark right here. But you can see that does not do what we would expect it to do. Instead, and this is where it's just a little kind of weird looking, after drink potion, before the actual parentheses for the function, this is where we will stick it. And if we have that there, now we should see, maybe I did something wrong. Hold on, let me double check. Undefined unexpected token. Oh, I did it backwards. Silly me. There we go. Let's see if that works now. So now you see we just get undefined. Now, if we don't want it just to return undefined, like if we were actually passing this into a variable, what we could do is use our shortcutting, and we'll use the nullish coalescing operator, and we can say something like the drink potion doesn't exist. Let's say DRI drink, DRINKPOTION, and I'll just do that so I don't have to write function, and then DOESN / that doesn't exist. And that. I didn't do backslash. There's the backslash. So we're escaping that. So and now what it will do is, because we're using our, I feel like I'm missing something else in here. Oh. I don't know why on earth that got turned into like an array almost. Actually, I probably do. So here you can see we have drink potion does not exist. So we're shortcutting here. Because this is going to return undefined, it's going to actually then give us this output, because this is the first truthy, I believe. Yes. So let's go ahead and run that and do that. And now you see drink potion doesn't exist. So we can check against, our function as well. This is really weird looking to me. I almost would expect it to be down here saying, okay, PC exists. If drink potion exists, then do it here. But for whatever reason, it actually goes here. Now, equally kind of strange is doing the same thing like with an array. And once again, I'm just going to go ahead and copy this chunk of code because we're already out of time. And this is the last part I wanted to do. So let's go ahead and do this. Control C. And I will explain what it's doing. So here we have weapons. We're creating an array of a sword, a bow, and a dagger. Here you can see we're outputting the word weapon, and you can see, just like the function, we actually stick it between the braces. So our staples, whatever you want to call them, the brackets. So we're saying the weapons array, because that's the array, and we're checking if one exists. If it exists, then we're going to go ahead and output it. So one will output bow. Then we're going to do one that we know doesn't exist, because this is 0, this is 1, this is 2, there is no 3. So we're trying to access 3, and we don't want an error, so we're going to also have our optional chaining here, and then our nullish coalescing operator here to tell us the weapon doesn't exist. So let's go and run this now, and you'll see we get exactly what we expect. On this first one, we get bow. On the second one, we get the weapon doesn't exist, because this returns back undefined, which is false, and this returns true because it is actually a string value. So there you go. In a nutshell, that is optional chaining. Hopefully it made sense to you. And in the next episodes, the two things we're going to be doing next, we've kind of talked about maps, but not in depth. And there's also a data set called a set. And I'm not 100% sure if we've even mentioned those in the past. So that is going to be our next goal. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to leave a thumbs up down below. Aside from that, comment, like, and subscribe. Click that little notification bell. Follow me on Twitter. Check out my Discord and my other channels. Don't forget to tell other people about my channel. Have them check it out. If they like what they see, they can sub. You know, it's it can't hurt anyone. It's free. And yeah, that's it, my friends. Until next time, I'll be seeing you later. Bye.